World leaders are done with Donald Trump. Get the hell out of our air bases. Get the hell out of our airspace. You are committing war crimes, and we are not going to aid and abet your war crimes in this catastrophic and unlawful criminal war against Iran, as you're now threatening to rain down hell and bomb Iran and the Iranian civilization to the Stone Age. The United Kingdom has now joined the growing list of countries that are refusing to allow the United States to use their airspace and their air bases. We knew about France and Austria and Spain, and we knew about many of Italy saying, do not use our air bases and our airspace to commit your war crimes. And the United Kingdom is now saying it is refusing to allow the United States to use air bases, particularly the Royal Air Force Fairford and Diego Garcia bases, which long-range strategic bombers with the U.S. Air Force have previously utilized on a case-by-case basis to carry out strikes on Iran for missions that target Iranian bridges, power plants, or other civilian infrastructure, citing concerns that such strikes could harm civilians and constitute war crimes, senior officials tell the I-Paper. And this evening, Donald Trump says at 8 p.m. Eastern Time, he will be raining down hell. He's going to blow up all the power plants, all of the bridges. He says he's going to destroy essentially the civilization of Iran. And the UK saying, we're not going to be a part of it. Good luck. See you later. This is a massive, massive development over here. The special relationship between the US and the UK gone. Frankly, at this point, NATO only exists in name only. NATO just had enough, and the European Union has enough. Look, if you don't want to be a part of NATO, if you want to continue to attack us, good luck. See you later. We're done playing these games. Donald Trump and J.D. Vance. J.D. Vance is taking a trip today to see Viktor Orban in Hungary. Viktor Orban trails in the upcoming election, which is set to take place in the next week or so, against a pro-democracy, pro-European Union party. And Viktor Orban is now being supported by the Trump regime and Putin. And they're all trying to create these false flags to try to start some war with Ukraine, or to claim some authoritarian powers to basically shut down the elections in Hungary. It's one of the things that Orban's trying to do. I'll get to that in a moment. But with that happening, U.S., Russia, Orban working together to try to tamper with the elections where Viktor Orban, Putin's puppet, is expected to lose. That's where J.D. Vance is spending his time. As John O'Connell writes, with all the threats from the U.S. of pulling out of NATO and pulling out of their European bases, they don't seem to realize there is a rising groundswell of opinion that they should just do exactly that. In the European Union, we're done appeasing you. In NATO, we're done. We're done. You're deranged. You're talking about war crimes with an Easter bunny on Easter. You're out there using the F word and saying, open the effing straight. You're out there giving addresses to the American people saying that Europe should cherish the Strait of Hormuz, and you go deal with it yourself. Every day, you or Marco Rubio, Trump or Marco Rubio or J.D. Vance or someone from the regime is out there attacking NATO. Oh, we're going to leave. We're going to leave. Just get the hell out. Leave. We're done with you. We don't need this. And that's what I told them they should have done from the beginning. If Trump wants to say, oh, NATO needs to hand me over Greenland, or I'm leaving, then leave. Just stand up to the guy, call his bluff, and push him out already. Call his damn bluff. Gerard Baker, who's the editor-at-large at the Wall Street Journal, says 100%. I detect a sense of resignation in Europe that there's just no point in appeasing these cynical provocateurs anymore. Rubio and the top military know that pulling U.S. bases out of Europe would be an epic act of self-harm. They won't say it, but the message is pull out or shut up. Right? So Europe on the one hand saying, you can't use our bases for war crimes, and then just pull out or shut up. Leave NATO or shut the hell up. We're done dealing with this crap. And that's the thing. Stop babying Trump. Just tell him, shut the hell up and get out of here. Or or do what you got to do, but just stop the damn whining. I'll give you an example. In the past 24 hours, you had Marco Rubio basically say, if Europe won't allow us to use bases, then why are we even allied with them in the first place? Then just stop whining, Marco Rubio. By the way, when you were a senator, weren't you the senator who created the legislation to say the U.S. can't pull out with NATO unless there's a 2/3 vote of the Senate? Here's what Marco Rubio said. Here, play this clip.
And I've been a big supporter of NATO. And one of the reasons why I've been a supporter of NATO is because I believe that these basing rights give us leverage and give us flexibility and operational capability all over the world. But if NATO is just about us defending Europe if they're attacked, but them denying us basing rights when we need them, that's not a very good arrangement. That's a hard one to stay engaged in and say this is good for the United States. So all of them's going to have to be re-examined. All of it's going to have to be re-examined.
And then, as I mentioned before, in addition to the UK, France has banned the United States from using their airspace and their air bases. Not only that, but we're now learning that the France's central bank sold 129 tons of French gold stored in New York, bought equivalent gold in Europe that meets current standards, and recorded a 12.8 billion euro gain due to higher gold prices. As Che Baus explains, France repatriated all of its gold to Paris. It sold all of their gold in New York, then bought an equivalent of that in Europe, gained about 13 billion euros from higher gold prices, and said, see you later. We ain't keeping our gold reserves in New York anymore. But when you dig deeper, it also seemed that the United States no longer even kept the actual gold reserves. So there had to be like a settlement that was reached. And then that's why they had to then buy the equivalent of that in Europe, because it didn't exist anymore. Like Trump just got rid of it, apparently. And so we're seeing right there just people pulling assets out of the United States. And I think what we're going to start to see soon as well, I've been warning about this, the dumping of treasuries, the dumping of treasury bonds. I think we're going to see bad treasury bond auctions coming up. But the world is saying bye-bye to the United States. We're done with you. We don't believe you're a stable place right now for the world economy. And that's very disconcerting. And then you have the Trump regime basically just, attacking anybody, any semblance of remaining alliances. I mean, heck, you had the Trump regime attacking MBS, the Crown Prince of Saudi Arabia, for asking Zelensky for help because Zelensky has the anti-drone technology, the drone interceptors, the ability to the surveillance technology, and MBS and a lot of these Arab nations can't rely on the U.S. security umbrella anymore because it ain't working. And now you have people like, you have Marco Rubio, you have J.D. Vance and others who are attacking MBS. How dare you accept help from Zelensky? Because in my opinion, Trump is doing all he can to help Putin and to undermine Zelensky. I mean, take a look over here what Sir William Felix Browder had to say. He's like, you have Rubio chastising MBS, the Crown Prince of Saudi Arabia, for asking for help from Zelensky because the U.S. is unable to provide real assistance anymore to the Arab nations. America's security umbrella has been an utter failure. Here, play this clip.
Marco Rubio was chastising Mohammed bin Salman, the Crown Prince of Saudi Arabia, for doing a defense deal without getting permission from the United States. They're pissed. They're pissed. I mean, and we're in a world where the superpowers aren't so super powerful, and the supposed weak powers aren't so weak. And it's confusing for everybody, and it's particularly confusing for the superpowers. And so Donald Trump is watching all these Ukrainian actions and saying, well, you guys should have folded a long time ago so I could have done my business with Putin. This is really annoying.
I mean, you have the Turkish president, Erdogan, saying the following on Netanyahu. This was his speech that he gave yesterday. I would also like to remind everyone, in the words of our ancestors, times change and power shifts. Those who undermine peace today merely to extend their political lifespans should not forget that tomorrow they themselves will need peace, justice, and law. History is full of countless examples of this. Most notably, Hitler became a victim of ambitions he cannot control, bringing great suffering upon himself, his people, and the world. Those who follow Hitler's footsteps today are not only acting against humanity, but are also placing themselves in that same Hitler role against their own citizens. And meanwhile, you have fires breaking out at the petrochemical plants in the industrial city of Jubail in Saudi Arabia, following a barrage of Iranian military and missile attacks. This area, this Jubail industrial city, I'll show you a view from the air. It's home to the biggest petrochemical facilities and desalination plants, and Iran said it was going to hit those targets, and it is hitting those targets hard. In addition, you have traffic over the King Fahd Causeway, a key bridge that connects Saudi Arabia to Bahrain, has been suspended due to Iranian air raid threats. Iran ain't playing around right now when it comes to this. It was notable as well. You know, Qatar tried to send 2 of its LNG tankers through the Strait of Hormuz without getting full permission of Iran on Monday after attempting an exit through the Strait of Hormuz, according to ship tracking data cited by Bloomberg and Reuters. And they tried to get through the Strait of Hormuz, and Iran was there to stop them. You can see right here those ships turning around, and then Qatar had a call. Qatar called the foreign minister Araghchi of Iran, and this was the readout of the phone call between Iran's foreign minister and Qatar's leader. Iran blames U.S.-Israeli aggression in the call with the Qatari foreign minister. Iran's foreign minister, Araghchi, told Qatar that the crisis, so Drop Site's reporting it, is exclusively the result of U.S. and Israeli attacks, charging Washington of using bases in regional countries to launch strikes and warning states not to allow their territories to be used for aggression. Qatar's prime minister condemned Iran's targeting of regional countries, calling it a threat to stability and rejecting attacks on civilian infrastructure under any circumstance. Araghchi responded that Iran is determined to defend its sovereignty and described U.S.-Israeli strikes on civilian and industrial sites as war crimes that must be prosecuted. Both sides called for an end to the war and a return to regional stability. Iran, as previously noted, demands a permanent end to the war and not just a short 45-day ceasefire. And again, it's notable that now you have Qatar calling up Iran, ostensibly asking for help, and Iran's like, we're not going to let you send your LNG tankers, your liquefied natural gas tankers, through the Strait of Hormuz right now, as long as U.S. and Trump continues to threaten us this way. As I noted before, while all of this is taking place, J.D. Vance is heading to Hungary to meet with Viktor Orban. As Volodymyr Tretek explains, imagine an American vice president traveling to Budapest in 1956 to support a pro-Kremlin government. That's how pathetic the current U.S. government is. And J.D. Vance, when he departed for Budapest, tells reporters he's looking forward to seeing his good friend, Viktor Orban. Remember, Orban is the Putin puppet. We'll talk about any number of things related to U.S.-Hungary relationship. Obviously, I'm sure Europe and Ukraine and all the other stuff will figure in pretty prominently. And what's taking place right now, as J.D. Vance says, will factor in pretty prominently, is Viktor Orban is trying to create all of these false flags, as I mentioned at the outset of the video, to justify shutting down the elections in Hungary that are a few days away. So one of the things that Viktor Orban continues to say is that there was this, attempt by Ukraine in order to be involved in a gas pipeline attack on Serbia to basically prevent Hungary from being able to get the gas that it needs. And this was a Ukraine sabotage event in Serbia, just a total false flag. And as Jay and Kiev writes, despite no one believing his nonsense, Hungary's Russian-backed kleptocrat Viktor Orban continues to double down on his fake emergencies with hope of canceling the election. Now, Serbia's general officially cleared Ukraine of any involvement in the recent plot to attack Serbia's gas pipelines, which Orban is saying was done to hurt Hungary, which is false flag. The Serbian military's top brass, General Duro Jovanic, stepped up to the mic to give the official version of why their gas lines almost went up in smoke. Here's what he said. Is Ukraine responsible? No. He explicitly denies their involvement. Are they being framed? No. He claims the idea that Serbia is planting Ukrainian evidence is fake news. Where did the bombs come from? He claims they are American-made. Who is the suspect? A military-trained individual from a migrant group, and these weapons are American-made, he says, as J.D. Vance is going to meet with Viktor Orban right now to try to help Orban steal the election that's coming up in just a few days. Let me share with you what British-Iranian expert Sanam Naragi Aderlini has to say about the Strait of Hormuz and what's really happening there, and that the countries that are not helping the war crimes, she says they're free to use the Strait of Hormuz. Watch what she says here. Play this clip.
What are Iranians supposed to make of that?
Well, first of all, from the news that I've heard in the last 24 hours, in hospitals, for example, in a children's hospital in Tehran, they're preparing for lack of electricity, lack of water, lack of gas, figuring out what to do with the kids that are in most critical conditions, sending the other ones home. In Bushehr, they're handing out iodine tablets in case of radiation. But I think this is horrific because the Hormuz Strait is actually open if you're not part of the war. The Spanish have gotten ships through, the Portuguese have, the Japanese have, the Chinese have. So the idea that the Straits of Hormuz are not open is actually not true.
It's largely closed.
It largely closed if you're supporting the war. If you're supporting an illegal war and you're supporting war crimes. They have hit 30 universities. They've been hitting the petrochemical plants. They're already attacking all these things. 600 schools. These are all war crimes. What is going on? And this is, Iranians are watching it. They're experiencing it. He's being a clown and, with the Easter Bunny.
I mean, he says a lot of Iranians are supporting the bombing, and that they are worried when the bombing doesn't happen.
So we have a very loud, vociferous diaspora opposition that has been supported by Israel, but 66% of them in America are now against this war. And the fact is that in a country of 93 million people, where we now have people who are suffering from toxins because of petrochemical plants being bombed, it is really egregious to suggest that people want to be bombed. That is an absurd statement, and certainly nobody that I know is saying that.
And then throughout the day, Donald Trump was attacking NATO. This is Donald Trump attacking NATO, saying it's a paper tiger. Putin tells me they're a paper tiger. Play this clip.
NATO is a paper tiger. Now, he's coming to see me on Wednesday, as you know. He's a wonderful guy. Secretary General is great. And Mark Rutte, he's a great person, but he's got... And it all began with, if you want to know the truth, Greenland. We want Greenland. They don't want to give it to us. And I said, bye-bye. Okay, thank you very much, everybody.
And here Donald Trump attacks South Korea, Australia, Japan as well. Let's play this clip.
You voiced your displeasure with NATO in the past. Is there a danger to the U.S. not being the de facto of the leader of the alliance, and then other powers within the alliance then getting the decision-making when it comes to wars and nuclear weapons?
No, it's not a danger. Look, we went to NATO. I didn't ask very strongly. I just said, hey, if you want to help, great. No, we will not help. I said, that's all right. You don't want to help? Because I've always said NATO's a paper tiger. See, NATO's a paper tiger. Putin's not afraid of NATO. Putin's afraid of us, very afraid of us. And he's explained it to me a lot of times. I got to know him very well. I know him very well. NATO's a paper tiger. NATO is us. And when we needed them, but we didn't need them, by the way. We didn't need them, obviously, because they haven't helped at all. Just the opposite. They've actually gone out of their way not to help. They didn't even want to give us landing strips. Think of it. And it's not just NATO. You know who else didn't help us? South Korea didn't help us. You know who else didn't help us? Australia didn't help us. You know who else didn't help us? Japan.
And so all these countries at this point are saying enough is enough. We're done with you, Donald. We're done. We're sick of this. You had every opportunity to de-escalate. We're not treating you like a baby anymore. We're done. See you later. Good luck. We wish you the best. And that's what you should have done from the outset. You can't appease this. You can't appease this. Donald Trump says hell will rain down in a few hours and there will be catastrophic demolition of all of Iran. He said to wipe all of Iran out. Scary times. But we have to call out war crimes. We have to speak with moral clarity. Hit subscribe. Help us get to 7 million subscribers. Thanks for watching.
Love this video? Support independent media and unlock exclusive content, ad-free videos, and custom emojis by becoming a paid member of our YouTube channel today. You can also gift memberships to others. Let's keep growing together.